Good morning. It's a happy July 1st and Wednesday. I'm glad you're joining us for today's encouragement. As you know, Monday I was talking about one of the founding father, George Washington, and his prayer and his life and as leadership and our first president and the development of this country, but also a man of God. I want to talk about the faith of another a founding father, and we're not sure that whether he ever became a Christian, but we know there were some great influences on his life. George Whitefield, a contemporary of John Wesley and Charles Wesley, many times had witnessed to him, talked to him about it, but we do know from history that he was a man of prayer, and I am talking about Benjamin Franklin, or believed in the power of faith. And I'm going to read you something here in just a second. In the Continental Constitutional Convention of 1787, they were in gridlock, and as many of you know from history, they were fighting among themselves. Some of the delegates increasingly growing more bitter towards each other and felt like they were hopelessly deadlocked. Kind of sounds like today in some things, doesn't it? But once again, God had mercy on the affairs of America. And right when it seemed like things were they were going to just kind of go their separate ways, go back, and nothing was going to happen, the 81-year-old stood up and gave a speech to him. And that 81-year-old, as I said before, was Ben Franklin, one of the most prominent people of his age. And here's what he said. In the beginning of the contest with Britain, when we were sensible of danger, we had daily prayers in this room for divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard and they were graciously answered. And all of us who were engaged in the struggle must have observed frequent instances of the superintending providence in our favor. And have we now forgotten this powerful friend? Or do we imagine we no longer need his assistance? His being with capital H. I have lived, sir, a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of man. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings, that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. We shall be divided by our little partial local interests, and our projects will be confounded, and we ourselves shall become a reproach and a byword down to the future ages. And what is worse, mankind may hereafter, from this unfortunate instance, despair of establishing government by human wisdom and leave it to chance, war, or conquest. Therefore, beg leave to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessing on our deliberation be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business. That speech and sober reflection in the silence which followed marked a turning point, and all the delegates, their priorities, rearranged Franklin's startling words, and the delegates, nearly all whom were believers of one kind or another, got on with the business of crafting a new constitution. Under Washington's careful shepherding, the Constitution, complete with its Bill of Rights, came into being, and the Union was assured. We, the people of the United States of America. I don't know if Benjamin Franklin was a Christian. I know he was, as I said in the beginning, he was a great friend and supporter of George Whitefield many, many years before. But I think I know God was using him with those delegates and those early founding fathers. I want to read you a couple verses of a very familiar song. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside let freedom reign. Our fathers, God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by the might of the great God, our King. I hope that that's your prayer this morning. You may be wondering, what is going on in our country? Well, I think people down through the years have wondered, what is going on in our country? But when we turn to God, God is there. I close you with this, out of a very familiar passage of Scripture. It's out of 2 Chronicles, 7th chapter, the 14th verse. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. I pray that is your prayer this morning, that we will look to God for our country, for its leaders, and for its people. God bless you. Have a great Wednesday.